The strange lights appeared in the night sky over Arizona first, small dots that moved too fast and too purposefully to be stars or satellites. Daniel Carter, amateur astronomer and high school physics teacher, spotted them through his backyard telescope. He called his friend Lisa Winters at the University Observatory. "I'm telling you, Lisa, these aren't meteors. They're changing direction." Lisa didn't believe him at first. Objects in space followed predictable paths. They didn't make sudden turns, but when she aimed the university's main telescope toward the coordinates Daniel provided, she saw it too. "My God," she whispered into the phone. "You're right." Within hours, observatories across the world confirmed the sighting. Dozens of objects, moving in formation, had entered the solar system. They passed Jupiter's orbit, then Mars, accelerating toward Earth at impossible speeds. The news spread quickly. Social media exploded with theories. Government officials issued calm statements about investigating unusual astronomical phenomena. But behind closed doors, panic was setting in. At NASA headquarters, Dr. Paul Martinez stared at the latest images, his coffee growing cold beside him. The objects had resolved into clearer shapes now, massive metallic structures unlike anything humans had built. "We're looking at vessels," he told the emergency meeting of scientists and military officials. "And based on their size and speed, they're far beyond our technology." General Frank Woods leaned forward, his face grim. "Are they responding to our signals?" "No," Martinez said. "We've tried all frequencies. They maintain complete silence." In New York, the UN Security Council gathered for an emergency session. Representatives from every major nation sat in tense silence as satellite footage played on the main screen. The alien fleet had reached lunar orbit and shown no signs of slowing down. "What are their intentions?" asked the French ambassador. Nobody had an answer. Back in his small home, Daniel Carter packed quickly. The government had issued evacuation orders for coastal cities, fearing the worst. He threw clothes into a suitcase while the TV blared updates. "The unidentified vessels have deployed smaller craft," the news anchor reported, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "These smaller objects have entered Earth's atmosphere and appear to be conducting scanning operations." Daniel's phone rang. Lisa's name flashed on the screen. "Are you seeing this?" she asked without greeting. "Yeah. Where are you?" "Still at the observatory. They've asked us to keep tracking the motherships." "Daniel, one of the scout vessels just flew over us. It's like nothing I've ever seen." Outside, car horns blared as people fled the cities. Grocery stores were emptied within hours. Military vehicles rolled down highways toward strategic positions. At the Pentagon, General Woods organized the limited defenses Earth could muster. Fighter jets scrambled across the globe, ordered to observe but not engage. Nuclear submarines moved into position beneath the oceans, awaiting commands no one wanted to give. "We need to show them we can defend ourselves," an Air Force colonel argued. "And what if they take that as aggression?" Woods countered. "We fire one missile, they could glass the entire planet." In orbit, the alien fleet finally stopped moving. 7 enormous ships, each larger than any human-made structure, formed a perfect hexagon around Earth with one vessel at the center. Their hulls gleamed with an oily iridescence that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. For 3 days, they simply watched. No communication, no hostile actions, just silent observation that felt more threatening than any attack. Then, on the morning of the 4th day, every electronic device on Earth received the same message simultaneously. Phones, computers, televisions, radios, all displayed or broadcast the same simple words in every human language. "Prepare for evaluation. Resistance is unnecessary." The alien armada had arrived, and they thought Earth was defenseless. The message sent terror through the world's governments. Emergency sessions convened in capitals across the globe. At the Pentagon, Commander Zachary Powell of the newly formed Space Command stared at the alien transmission repeating on every screen. "We need to respond," he said. "Show them we can communicate." His team of linguists and communication specialists worked around the clock to craft a reply. They sent it on all frequencies. "We welcome peaceful contact. Earth seeks understanding between our civilizations." 3 tense days passed with no response. People huddled in homes or evacuation centers, eyes fixed on the skies. Religious leaders called for prayer. Survivalists retreated to bunkers. Parents tried to calm frightened children. Then the aliens broke their silence. Every screen on Earth flickered again. This time, a figure appeared. It was tall and slender, with grayish-blue skin that seemed to shimmer like metal. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern blinked independently. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. The words simply appeared as text beneath the image. "I am Admiral Kesnar of the Krathal Armada." The message read, "Your world has been selected for integration into our empire. You will surrender all governmental control within 72 of your Earth hours. Resistance is unnecessary and will result in cleansing protocols." In Washington, President Laura Shepard gathered her advisors. "What exactly are cleansing protocols?" she asked, though everyone knew the answer. "Based on their technology," General Woods replied, "they could wipe out our major cities in minutes." The alien admiral continued, "We have conquered 17 worlds before yours. None have successfully resisted. Your civilization has barely reached your own moon. You possess no orbital defenses. Your weapons are primitive. Your surrender will spare lives." Powell slammed his fist on the table. "They're wrong," he said quietly. "They don't know what we have." At the United Nations, representatives argued desperately about how to respond. Some nations advocated immediate surrender to save lives. Others insisted humanity must resist at any cost. "We cannot submit to slavery," the Kenyan ambassador declared. "Better to die free than live under alien rule." In orbit, the Krathal ships deployed smaller vessels that began systematic scans of Earth's surface. They focused on military bases, power plants, and government facilities. Lisa Winters, now working with a scientific response team, analyzed the scan patterns. "They're mapping our vulnerabilities," she told Daniel, who had joined her as a civilian consultant, "creating a strike plan." Around the world, people reacted differently to the ultimatum. Many fled cities for the countryside. Others formed impromptu militia groups. Some held end-of-the-world parties. Churches and temples filled to capacity. In a secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Shepard made the hardest call of her life. She contacted the leaders of Russia, China, the European Union, and other major powers. "We cannot surrender," she told them, "and we cannot win using conventional means." There was a long pause before the Russian president spoke. "Perhaps it is time to reveal Project Guardian." The Chinese premier nodded gravely. "And Operation Stellar Shield." "They think we're defenseless," the British Prime Minister added. "They have no idea what we've been building since the Roswell incident." Commander Powell was summoned to a facility so secret even he hadn't known of its existence. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, massive doors opened to reveal an underground hangar larger than several football fields. Inside stood weapons and vehicles unlike anything publicly acknowledged. "Welcome to Backup Plan Z," said Captain Elizabeth Morgan, stepping forward to greet him. "We've been preparing for this day for 60 years." The clock was ticking. Less than 48 hours remained before the aliens' deadline. Earth appeared helpless to the watching Krathal fleet, but appearances could be deceiving. Captain Elizabeth Morgan led Commander Powell through the massive underground complex. Workers in specialized suits moved purposefully around equipment that looked decades beyond current technology. After the Roswell crash in 1947, world leaders realized we weren't alone. Morgan explained, "The public got cover stories about weather balloons, but the truth launched the most secret program in human history." Powell stared at sleek aircraft with no visible engines. How is this possible? The Cold War was partly real, partly theater," Morgan said. "Behind the scenes, former enemies worked together on defense against a greater threat. We recovered technology, reverse-engineered it, prepared." Dr. Alan Foster, a thin man with thick glasses, approached them carrying what looked like a rifle, except it had no barrel, just a crystalline chamber that pulsed with blue light. "Particle disruption weapon," Foster said proudly. "It can penetrate their shield technology. We've been testing it against materials recovered from downed scout ships since the 80s. Powell shook his head in disbelief. "The public has no idea." "That was the point," Morgan replied. "The aliens are watching our regular military bases, our known weapons. They're not looking for what we've kept hidden." Across the world, similar revelations were occurring. In Siberia, Russian generals activated a network of underground missile silos containing weapons far beyond conventional nuclear warheads. Beneath the South China Sea, Chinese scientists powered up a massive underwater facility housing electromagnetic pulse generators. General William Hayes entered the Pentagon's basement level and approached a terminal that hadn't been accessed in years. He pressed his palm against the scanner, then spoke clearly. "Activate Atlas." The screen flickered to life. Text appeared. "Atlas Military Artificial Intelligence System, on in a line. Awaiting instructions. Begin global defense coordination," Hayes ordered. Authorization code, Broken Arrow. In orbit around Earth, disguised as communication satellites and space debris, dormant defense platforms silently powered up. Their true nature remained invisible to the alien scans. Major Susan Clark led her team through training exercises in a hidden facility beneath Detroit. 20 soldiers wore metallic exoskeletons that amplified their strength and speed tenfold. "Remember, the suits can withstand direct energy weapon impacts for approximately 30 seconds, Clark told them. "That's your window to close distance and engage." The soldiers nodded grimly. They had trained for years for a war no one believed would come. President Shepard addressed the emergency coalition of world leaders. "The aliens expect us to either surrender or mount a conventional defense. We will do neither. Operation Hidden Shield begins in 12 hours. In London, Paris, Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and dozens of other cities, Special Forces teams moved into position near the alien scout ships that hovered over major capitals. Daniel Carter found himself working alongside Lisa Winters in a command center beneath Chicago. Scientists and civilian specialists had been recruited for their unique knowledge. "I still can't believe all this was happening while we were looking at the stars," Daniel said, gesturing at the advanced technology surrounding them. Lisa nodded. "They've been watching the skies for much longer than we realized, and preparing." Dr. Foster finalized calibrations on the particle weapons being distributed to Special Forces teams. "The aliens believe we're primitive because that's what we showed them. Our commercial satellites, our public space program, all of it deliberately understated our capabilities." At exactly 36 hours before the alien deadline, Atlas sent encrypted signals to military commanders worldwide. Operation Hidden Shield was now active. In Nevada, Captain Morgan showed Powell to a sleek command chair in the center of the facility's control room. "The Krathel Armada thinks Earth is defenseless," she said as screens lit up around them, showing hidden bases and concealed weapons platforms activating across the globe. "It's time to show them otherwise." The Krathel struck exactly when they promised. As the 72-hour deadline expired, their ships launched brilliant beams of energy toward major cities. Beijing, New York, Moscow, and London were first. The alien admiral's message was simple: "Your time has ended. Surrender now." What happened next shocked even Earth's military leaders. The energy beams never reached their targets. Instead, they hit invisible barriers 20 miles above the planet's surface. The shields, disguised as weather research satellites, had remained dormant until this moment. The alien weapons flared against them, creating spectacular aurora-like displays visible even in daylight. Shield network holding at 82% capacity, reported the Atlas AI system. Countermeasures authorized. Captain Morgan nodded to Powell. Give the order. Powell took a deep breath. Activate all orbital platforms. In space, dozens of seemingly abandoned satellites suddenly transformed. Panels shifted, weapons emerged, and targeting systems locked onto the alien vessels. The first volley caught the Crothul completely by surprise. Concentrated energy pulses struck 3 of their smaller ships, disrupting their shields. Admiral Kesnar's face appeared on communication channels worldwide, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in what seemed like shock. How is this possible? Your species possesses no such technology. No one answered. The time for talking had passed. From the lunar base, officially listed as an abandoned research station, Captain Morgan's second-in-command directed the space-based defense. Hidden beneath the moon's surface for 15 years, the base housed Earth's first line of defensive weapons. Lieutenant Ryan Adams led his squadron from an underground hangar in Arizona. Their aircraft resembled conventional fighters externally but contained engines and weapons systems developed from recovered alien technology. Phoenix Squadron, Launch Pattern Delta. Adams ordered as his jet shot upward at impossible speeds. Remember your training. Their ships have a weak point where the propulsion system connects to the main hull. The squadron climbed through the atmosphere, 12 pilots facing an armada of thousands, but they had surprise on their side, and technology the aliens didn't expect humans to possess. On the ground, Dr. Foster activated his energy weapons network. Artillery-like installations hidden in mountains and forests worldwide targeted the smaller alien craft that had begun landing troops. The weapons fired pulses that passed through the alien shields as if they weren't there. The frequency modulation is working, Foster reported, watching monitors as alien craft fell from the sky. They can't adapt fast enough. In suburban Detroit, John Miller and his neighbor Amanda Wilson huddled in a basement as alien troops landed in their neighborhood park. John had been a high school science teacher, Amanda a mechanic. Neither were soldiers. But when an injured alien crashed through Miller's garage door, they discovered something unexpected. "Look," Amanda whispered, pointing at the alien's suit where water from a broken pipe had splashed it. The creature writhed in apparent pain. They react to water. John grabbed his phone and sent a message to the emergency broadcast system that civilian resistance had established. Within minutes, the information reached Atlas and was distributed to defense forces worldwide. Major Clark's exosuit teams engaged alien ground forces across Europe and Asia. The aliens clearly hadn't expected resistance with advanced technology. Clark's soldiers moved with enhanced speed, targeting weak points in the alien combat armor. They believed their own intelligence, Clark said over the comm system as her team eliminated a squad of alien troops in Berlin. They saw what we wanted them to see for decades. By nightfall, Earth had not only survived the first assault, but had destroyed nearly 100 alien vessels. The massive Crothul command ships pulled back to a higher orbit, clearly reconsidering their approach. In the Nevada Command Center, Powell watched the battle statistics with cautious optimism. "We've surprised them, but they still outnumber us significantly." Captain Morgan nodded grimly. This was just their first wave. But now they know. Earth isn't defenseless after all. After the initial battle, Earth forces regrouped quickly. The element of surprise had worked, but everyone knew the Crothul would return with a better strategy. In underground command centers worldwide, military leaders coordinated through the Atlas system. "We hurt them, but they still have enough firepower to glass the planet," General Woods warned during the emergency council meeting. At the Science Division headquarters beneath Seattle, Dr. Catherine Green and her colleague Eric Nelson worked frantically to analyze data from the first engagement. Catherine had spent 15 years studying alien technology recovered from a crash site in Canada. Eric specialized in weapons systems. "Look at this energy signature," Catherine said, pointing to a screen showing readings from a damaged alien ship. "Their shields fluctuate at predictable intervals." Eric leaned closer. If we time our attacks precisely, we could penetrate their defenses with much smaller energy expenditure, Catherine finished. We need to update the targeting systems immediately. The information went straight to Colonel Patricia Johnson, commander of Earth's newly revealed orbital assault carriers. Johnson had trained for this moment her entire career, though few people knew her division even existed. Upload the new targeting parameters to all ships, she ordered, and prepare for direct engagement with their command vessel. Johnson's plan was bold, perhaps suicidal. Rather than fighting defensively, she proposed taking the battle directly to the aliens. Her specially trained crews would board the alien flagship using stealth technology developed from previous encounters. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened aboard one of the damaged alien vessels. Major Clark's team, investigating the crashed ship, discovered survivors. But these aliens weren't attacking. They appeared to be prisoners. "They're not Krathul," Clark reported after establishing basic communication. "They call themselves Araxians. The Krathul conquered their world 3 cycles ago." This revelation spread quickly through command channels. The Araxians offered crucial information about Krathul ship layouts and vulnerabilities in exchange for asylum. More importantly, they'd revealed the true reason for the invasion. Earth sits at a strategic junction of space-time currents, translated in Atlas interface, and your planet contains element deposits not found in most systems. The Krathul Empire needs both for their expansion. Armed with this knowledge and Araxian technical assistance, Earth forces prepared for the next phase. Engineer teams quickly adapted alien technology to enhance human weapon systems. In orbit, the Krathul regrouped. Their formation changed, clearly adapting to Earth's revealed defenses. Scout ships began systematic attacks on what they now recognized as defense installations. Major Clark led a specialized team to infiltrate one of the smaller Krathul vessels. Using adaptive camouflage suits, they boarded during a brief shield recalibration. "Move quickly and silently," Clark instructed as they navigated the alien corridors. "We need their communication codes and tactical plans." The mission was nearly compromised when they encountered a patrol, but the team's water-based weapons, developed after John Miller's discovery, proved devastatingly effective against the Krathul. Clark's team reached the ship's command center and downloaded critical data before setting explosive charges. They escaped minutes before the ship detonated from within. Back on Earth, civilian defense networks coordinated through an underground internet system. People shared information about alien weaknesses and movement patterns. Factory workers repurposed manufacturing plants to produce specialized weapons. Colonel Johnson briefed her assault team aboard the hidden orbital carrier Defiance. "The Krathul believe they've identified all our defenses now," she told the assembled soldiers. "They don't realize we've been holding back our main force. Tomorrow, we strike their command ship directly." In the Nevada Command Center, Powell received updates from all fronts. The situation remained desperate. Earth's hidden technology was impressive but limited. Several major cities had suffered significant damage. Casualties were mounting. Yet something had changed. The fear that initially paralyzed humanity had transformed into determined resistance. People who'd never imagined themselves as soldiers now fought to protect their world. "The Krathul have conquered 17 worlds," Powell said to Captain Morgan. "But they've never faced Earth before." Morgan nodded as she studied the tactical display, showing their forces moving into position around the globe. "And they still don't understand what they're up against." The next morning, Earth launched its coordinated counterattack. Every remaining defense system activated simultaneously in a massive show of force. The Krathul had expected humans to be crippled after the initial exchanges, but instead faced a planet fully mobilized for war. Captain Jason Wright stood on the bridge of the aircraft carrier U.S. Lincoln, now equipped with energy weapons reverse-engineered from alien technology. His fleet had remained hidden beneath active camouflage nets in the Pacific. All vessels, weapons-free, Wright ordered as the massive ships revealed themselves. "Target the landing craft first." Across the oceans, similar naval groups emerged from hiding. Their guns fired specialized shells containing the water-based compounds that disrupted Krathel biology. When they struck alien ships, the results were devastating. Dr. Foster and his team activated the planetary shield network at full capacity. Unlike the partial protection used during the first attack, this complete deployment created a shimmering barrier visible from the ground, a dome of energy covering the entire atmosphere. Shield integrity at maximum, Foster reported. Their bombardment weapons can't penetrate as long as we maintain power. The aliens shifted tactics, sending swarms of smaller craft to find gaps in the shield. That's when Lieutenant Adams and his fighter squadrons launched from bases worldwide. Their aircraft, finally revealed in daylight, showed their true capabilities. Impossible maneuvers at speeds that would crush human pilots without the inertial dampening systems built into the cockpits. "Form up on my wing," Adams called to his pilots. "Remember, hit and fade. Don't let them track your approach vector." The aerial battle lit up skies worldwide. Citizens watched from shelters as human pilots engaged alien craft in combat that resembled nothing seen in conventional warfare. Energy weapons flashed against reinforced shields. Aircraft vanished and reappeared using short-range jump technology. In cities partially occupied by Krathel ground forces, resistance networks sprung into action. Former police officer Greg Martinez led a civilian group in Chicago, using modified fire trucks to spray aliens with pressurized water. The simple tactic proved surprisingly effective. "They never expected us to identify their weakness so quickly," Martinez told his volunteers. "Keep moving, don't give them time to adapt." Colonel Johnson's assault team reached the Krathel command ship under cover of the larger battle. Using stealth craft developed for exactly this purpose, they attached to the hull near an access point identified by their Araxian allies. "Cutting team, you have 2 minutes before their sensors detect us," Johnson instructed as specialized equipment burned through the alien hull. Inside the command ship, Johnson's team moved efficiently through corridors, placing disruptive devices at key junctions. They faced heavy resistance but pressed forward toward the central control room. Back on Earth, the ATLAS system coordinated the global defense with inhuman precision. It redirected resources, prioritized targets, and predicted enemy movements seconds before they occurred. The AI had been designed for exactly this scenario, fighting an advanced alien species with vastly superior numbers. The turning point came when 3 of the 7 Krathel command ships suddenly turned their weapons on each other. The Araxian prisoners, freed from multiple vessels, had spread through the fleet, initiating a rebellion among other conquered species, forced to serve the Krathel. Admiral Kesnar's transmission reached all Earth communication systems. "This deception will not save you. We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours." But his threats rang hollow as more of his ships fell to the combined Earth and rebel alien forces. The Admiral ordered his remaining vessels to concentrate fire on Earth's largest shield generators. Dr. Foster watched alarm lights flash across his control panels. "They've identified the primary power nodes. Shield 4 is failing." In orbit, the battle reached its climax. Colonel Johnson's team fought their way to the alien flagship's bridge. Lieutenant Adams and his remaining pilots formed a desperate defensive line against enemy reinforcements. Through it all, the people of Earth watched, fought, and hoped. The Krathel had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves in the fight of their lives against a planet that refused to surrender. "We've reached a tipping point," Commander Powell told world leaders as the battle raged. "Either we break them in the next hour, or we lose everything." Colonel Patricia Johnson fought her way through the alien flagship's central corridor. 3 of her team were down, but the rest pressed forward with grim determination. Their mission was simple but vital: disable the command ship's main systems and eliminate the Krathel leadership. 200 meters to the bridge, her navigator reported. "Heavy resistance ahead." Johnson nodded, checking her weapon's power level. "Remember, we only need 10 seconds inside their command center to upload the virus. Everything else is secondary." Outside the massive vessel, The space battle had reached its peak intensity. Lieutenant Ryan Adams and his remaining fighters provided cover for the boarding team, engaging the flagship's defensive systems. His squadron had started with 12 pilots. Now only 5 remained. Enemy reinforcements approaching from Sector 7, warned his wingman. Adams checked his fuel and weapons status. Both were critically low. "I'll draw them off," he decided. "The rest of you protect the boarding team's extraction point." Before anyone could object, Adams turned his fighter directly toward the incoming alien squadron. His targeting computer locked onto the lid ship. "This is for Earth," he whispered, accelerating to maximum speed. On the planet below, the shield network struggled under concentrated Krathel fire. Dr. Foster and his team worked frantically to reroute power from secondary systems. "Shield 3 is collapsing," a technician reported. "Civilian evacuation in that sector is only 60% complete." Foster looked at the map showing a densely populated area about to be exposed to alien weapons. Without hesitation, he entered his emergency codes. "Diverting power from life support to Shield 3, he announced. The air and the command center would last about 20 minutes, hopefully long enough. In New York, Greg Martins led a group of civilians through underground tunnels as alien ground forces moved through the streets above. Among the group were John Miller and Amanda Wilson, carrying improvised water weapons. "The shelter is 2 blocks ahead," Martinez told them, checking a tablet showing alien positions. "We need to cross an exposed area. Be ready to run on my signal." As they prepared to move, the ground shook violently. A Krathel walker crashed through buildings nearby, its weapons targeting the tunnel entrance. There was no way they could cross now. John stepped forward. "I'll draw its attention. The rest of you go when it follows me." Amanda grabbed his arm. "That's suicide." "What choice do we have?" John asked quietly. Before they could argue further, a brilliant flash lit the sky. One of the Krathel command ships had exploded, sending debris raining down through the atmosphere. The walker turned its sensors upward, momentarily distracted. "Now," Martinez shouted, leading the civilians across the open space. In orbit, Colonel Johnson's team had reached the flagship's bridge. The final firefight was brutal and short. Johnson personally eliminated Admiral Kesnar with a precision shot before he could activate the ship's self-destruct sequence. "Upload in progress," reported her communications specialist, connecting their device to the alien systems. 30 seconds until complete. Across the flagship, systems began shutting down as the human virus spread through alien networks. Similar disruptions rippled through the Krathel fleet as the command signals failed. Commander Powell watched from the Nevada Control Center as enemy ships began powering down or drifting out of formation. The ATLAS system calculated victory probability rising past 80% for the first time. "They're breaking," Captain Morgan confirmed, studying the tactical display. "The remaining ships are retreating." Earth's defensive forces pressed their advantage. Within hours, the surviving Krathel vessels had jumped to hyperspace, leaving only damaged or captured ships behind. The cost had been enormous. Major cities lay in ruins. Millions of people were dead or missing. Lieutenant Adams and countless others had sacrificed themselves to ensure humanity's survival. But Earth had won. 1 week later, world leaders gathered in the partially rebuilt United Nations headquarters. The atmosphere was solemn yet hopeful. President Shepard addressed the assembly. "We have paid an unimaginable price," she said, looking at the representatives of a united Earth. "But we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be conquered. With the technology we've recovered, we begin not just rebuilding, but preparing for our place among the stars." In orbit, human and Araxian engineers worked together on a new generation of ships. Built from reclaimed alien technology, they would eventually carry Earth's influence beyond the solar system. The Krathel had thought Earth defenseless. They had been wrong, and now the entire galaxy would know it.